All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of design.
Oh, cool.
Specifically, UX and UI design.
Okay, yeah.
And I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
This is just for techie people, right?
Yeah.
Well, not really. Whether you are thinking about maybe switching careers, or you just want to understand what your developer friend is talking about when they use all this jargon, or you're just curious about how things get designed, this deep dive is for you.
Awesome.
So our guide today is an article from Career Foundry's blog called The Difference Between UX and UI Design, a beginner's guide. Okay, so confession time.
Okay.
The other day, I was trying to book a flight on this app. It was a disaster.
Oh, no.
How much good design,
Yeah.
or the lack of it, really impacts all of us every day.
Right.
So that's our mission today, is to really figure out what makes for good design. We'll unpack the difference between UX and UI, see what skills matter most, and even peek at some of the career paths you could take.
Sounds great.
You ready to get started?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first things first.
Yeah.
What exactly is UX design?
Okay.
It's more than just making things look pretty, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely more than just aesthetics,
Yeah.
UX design or user experience design. It's all about how a person feels when they're using a product.
Right.
And that product could be anything like a website or an app, even a coffee machine,
Oh, wow.
or even like a public park.
Yeah, it's got to be intuitive. Like, you don't even have to think about it. It just kind of works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don Norman, who's the guy that actually coined the term user experience, he was a cognitive scientist.
Oh, okay.
And they put it this way. User experience encompasses all aspects of the end user's interaction with the company, its services, and its products.
So it's like their whole journey.
Exactly, from beginning to end.
Start to finish. This is making me think about all those times that I've gone to an online shopping cart and then just abandoned it because the checkout process was too confusing.
Right.
Is that bad UX design?
It totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a well-designed checkout flow should be seamless and intuitive.
Yeah.
And like, think about your online banking app if it's well-designed.
Right.
It's super easy to check your balance, transfer money, pay bills.
Right.
But if it's designed poorly, it can be so frustrating and confusing.
Oh, for sure.
That's the power of good UX design.
Yeah.
It can either make or break a product.
Wow. So it really is like a science. You're not just like randomly throwing buttons around and hoping for the best.
No, not at all. UX designers use a variety of different methods like user research, wireframing, prototyping to really understand user needs and behaviors.
Okay.
And they test different designs, they get feedback, and then they kind of iterate to create a product that is both usable and enjoyable.
So it's a pretty involved process. You're not just like brainstorming ideas.
It's much more than that.
Okay.
A UX designer needs to be a master of many skills.
Wow.
Like, they conduct competitor analysis to see what's working well in the market.
Oh, okay.
They also conduct user interviews and surveys to understand the needs and pain points of their target audience.
Oh.
And they even use tools like Figma to create wireframes and prototypes to test different design solutions before they even build them.
Figma, that's one of those tools that I keep hearing about in the industry.
Yeah, it's a big one.
So they're really thinking about like every step a user takes.
Right.
Every button they click. Every screen that they see.
Yeah, you got it. They're anticipating user needs and really creating a seamless flow from one step to the next.
Okay, so we've got UX covered. Now, where does UI fit in?
Okay.
I know it stands for user interface design, but what does that actually mean, like on a day-to-day basis?
So think of UI design as the visual and interactive layer of a product.
Okay.
It's what you actually see and touch.
Okay.
Like the buttons, the icons,
Yeah.
the typography, the color scheme, the overall visual aesthetic.
So if UX is like the blueprint of a house, UI is like the decor and the furniture that makes it livable.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Okay.
UI designers really bring that UX vision to life.
Yeah.
They're concerned with creating a visually appealing and user-friendly interface that guides the user through the product.
So they're making sure the buttons are the right size and they're in the right place, the colors are pleasing to the eye, the text is easy to read,
Yeah.
and that it looks good on your phone, your tablet, your computer.
Exactly.
Okay.
All those details and more.
Wow.
They also consider things like accessibility and inclusivity.
Right.
Making sure that the design is usable for people with disabilities and different age groups and diverse cultural backgrounds.
Oh, wow.
They're really the architects of how the user interacts with the product on a visual level.
This is reminding me of something I read about the evolution of wireframing.
Uh-huh.
It used to be like all sketching on paper.
Right.
But now with tools like Figma, you
Yeah.
can create these interactive prototypes that are almost like the real thing.
It's crazy.
That must have had a huge impact on how UI designers work.
It absolutely has. Tools like Figma have totally revolutionized the design process.
Yeah.
It allows for faster iteration, better collaboration, more realistic prototypes.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot between form and function, making things look good, but also making sure they're easy to use.
Yeah, a beautiful design that's difficult to use is ultimately a failure.
Right. Okay, so we have these two things, UX and UI.
Yeah.
They seem like separate fields.
Yeah.
But why are so many job postings looking for UX UI designers?
That's a great question. It's partly a reflection of how the industry is still evolving, I think.
Okay.
Some companies might not totally grasp the nuances between UX and UI and just kind of lump them together in the job postings.
So like a little bit of a knowledge gap?
Yeah, but sometimes it's not that simple.
Okay.
Some companies genuinely want designers who can wear both hats.
Oh, okay.
Especially like smaller startups or agencies that have limited resources. They're looking for someone who can handle the strategic thinking of UX, but also the visual execution of UI.
So you really have to look beyond the job title.
Yeah.
And really dig into like what specific skills and responsibilities they're looking for.
Exactly. Don't just focus on the label. Pay attention to the details and see if the role really leans more toward UX UI or a true hybrid of the two.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get practical.
Okay.
Let's say someone's listening to this and they're thinking, hey, design sounds pretty cool. Should they become a UX designer or a UI designer?
Yeah.
How do they even begin to figure that out?
That breaks down the skills needed for each role.
Okay.
It's a good place to start with a little self-reflection. Are you someone who loves problem solving
Yeah.
and figuring out the why behind user behavior?
Yeah.
Or are you more visually driven with a passion for creating beautiful and intuitive interfaces?
So it comes down to like your interests and your strengths. But what about salary expectations? Are there big differences between UX and UI roles?
Well, salary can vary, based on location, company size, and experience level.
Right.
But in general, both UX and UI designers can earn a good living.
Okay.
According to Glassdoor, junior UX designers in the U.S. are starting around $78,540, while junior UI designers are a bit lower at like $73,454.
Okay.
But as you gain experience, those numbers go up, with senior UX designers making around $117,223, and senior UI designers making a little bit more at $121,734.
And those are just averages, of course.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that both fields offer really competitive salaries and good potential for growth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the most important factor is just finding a path that aligns with your passions and your talents.
So for anyone who's listening to this and they're feeling a little intrigued but not really sure where to begin, what advice would you give them?
I would say there's so many free resources available online.
Right.
Like you can find short courses and tutorials on UX and UI design that can give you a little taste of what each field entails.
Okay.
It's a great way to dip your toes in the water and see what sparks your interest.
I think it's time to take a little break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll explore some real-world examples of good and bad design, and we'll talk about the exciting trends that are shaping the future of UX and UI.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. So we've been talking about, what UX and UI design are all about.
Right.
But now let's get real. We all experience good and bad design every day.
We do. Yeah.
Sometimes without even realizing it.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think we only often notice design when it's done poorly and it really gets in our way.
Exactly. Like when you're trying to book a hotel online and the website makes you click through like a million pages just to see the room rates.
Yeah.
Ugh, I've definitely slammed my laptop shut in frustration a few times.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've all been there.
That's bad UX design.
Yes, definitely. A well-designed website should make that booking process so easy and enjoyable.
Okay, so when we talk about good UX, what are some examples that come to mind? Like what companies or products are really nailing it?
One company that consistently impresses me with their UX design is Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
Their app is so user-friendly and intuitive.
Totally.
Whether you're searching for a specific song or discovering new artists or creating playlists, the experience is just seamless and enjoyable.
Yeah.
They've really done a good job of understanding their users' needs and creating an interface that anticipates those needs.
I agree. Spotify just gets me.
Right.
Their recommendations are always spot on, and I love how easy it is to create and share playlists.
Yeah.
I think another great example is Airbnb.
Oh, for sure.
They've totally changed the way people travel.
Airbnb is a great example of how good UX design can really disrupt an entire industry. Their platform is just so easy to use, whether you're booking a room or listing your own property.
Right.
And they've built such a strong community around their brand.
Right. It's not just about the functionality of the platform itself. It's the whole experience, from finding the perfect place to stay to like communicating with your host. Airbnb just makes it all feel so easy.
It does.
But, for every Spotify and Airbnb out there, there are countless examples of companies that are just like not getting it right.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. And these design fails can have real consequences, you know? Frustrated users lost revenue.
For sure.
Think about those websites that are just cluttered with ads and pop-ups. Like you barely find the content you're looking for.
Or those apps that like make you create an account before you can even browse their products.
Right.
It's like they're putting up all these barriers between the user and the experience they're trying to create.
Exactly. And that's a surefire way to turn users away. Good UX design is about removing friction.
Yeah.
Making things as easy and enjoyable as possible.
It's not even just about digital products.
No, it's not.
Think about something as simple as like a public park.
Right.
Good UX design in a park might mean having like clear signage, well-maintained pathways, strategically placed benches and picnic tables.
It's about anticipating the needs of the park goers.
Right.
And creating a space that is both functional and enjoyable.
I'm so glad you brought up the public park example because it shows that UX design principles can be applied to almost anything.
It can.
It's really about understanding human behavior and creating experiences that are intuitive and enjoyable regardless of the context.
Absolutely. And I think as we move into the future, UX design is only going to become even more important.
Especially with all the new technologies that are emerging, like artificial intelligence and voice interfaces.
Exactly. Imagine a world where your smart home anticipates your needs, like adjusting the temperature, the lighting, the music based on your preferences. But it also presents these incredible opportunities for UX designers to create truly personalized and intuitive experiences.
Yeah.
Speaking of emerging trends,
Okay.
I think inclusive design is another area that's going to be huge.
So making sure that products and services are accessible to everyone. Well, with that, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of UX and UI design. We hope you enjoyed this exploration and learned something new along the way.
Yes, if you'd like to delve deeper into any of the topics we talked about today, be sure to check out the show notes for links to some additional resources.
Awesome. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.